remarks today with a few words of thanks to the many people that have been involved in making this very important event possible. And I'd also like to welcome you here on behalf of the World Intellectual Property Organization to this very important conference on rights management in North America. But first, let me recognize the people who have made a very important contribution to this conference, its organization, and making it all possible. Dean Rubin from Vanderbilt University, Michael Schoenfeld, the Vice Chancellor for Public Affairs of Vanderbilt, and Professor Larry Helfer and his program assistant, Faye Johnson. They've worked very hard on this. The cooperation of the International Confederation of Societies of Authors and Composers, SESAC, whose Director General, who I learned last night should be treated as a head of state, Eric Baptiste, is with us. And we really were assisted as well by the three collective management organizations, ASCAP, BMI, and SESAC. And I'd like to particularly recognize Mr. Connie Bradley, the Senior Vice President of ASCAP, Mr. Ron Solenfeld, Senior Vice President International at BMI, Mr. John Cody, the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for BMI Nashville, Mr. Pat Collins, President and Chief Operating Officer of SESAC. And last in my list, but far from least, I'd like to commend from my own staff the Director of our Collective Management Division, Patrick Massouillet, and his assistant, Ms. Natalie Denmark, who worked very, very hard on this. They all made it possible to hold this conference. This conference is the first and most important event WIPO has organized on the issue of collective management since the memorable conference we held in 1997 in Seville, Spain. That dealt with the digital challenges faced by collective management of copyright and related rights. And I think it's important to note that at that time, many people, and I think I would count myself among them, felt that the days of collecting societies might well be numbered because of the emergence of the digital technology, which might enable right holders to individually manage their own rights through rights management information and technological protection measures. Well, I think developments since then have shown us that that was not a correct worldview, and that today the role of collective management organizations in the digital age is as important as it ever was, if not more so in many ways. And I think that's one of the things that we'd like to hear a lot about today. Many years have passed, and it will be very interesting to see where collective management stands in the ever-evolving digital marketplace. There's this dimension that the Internet has given to copyright and related rights and their distribution, and therefore the need to manage rights, is truly amazing when you look at it from an international perspective. WIPO intends to continue its efforts on this subject, and will co-organize with SESAC and GSAC, the European Group of Societies of Authors and Composers, and the European Organization of Performers, IEPO, another large conference devoted to collective management in the European context. This conference will take place next year in Brussels, and the date is still being decided on. We also hope to organize future similar conferences in the other major geographical areas around the world, one for Latin America, one for Africa and the Arab countries, and one for Asia, because we think that this is such an important topic as the digital technology continues to expand. It's also conference will give us answers, or at least some guidance on questions relating to national developments here in the U.S. and some comparison with foreign countries, which might bring into the debate elements of great interest. Also, I'd like to briefly say that the next meeting of the Standing Committee on Copyright will be held the 19th through the 21st of November, and we'll be taking up a number of issues. One will be a report to the Standing Committee on the way the audiovisual performers' rights issue was dealt with at the General Assemblies. There'll be a discussion of where we are to go with the Broadcasting Treaty in light of the instructions we received again at the last General Assembly's meeting. The issue of the Broadcasters Treaty is to remain on the agenda, but it's not to be the sole thing we're taking up. Many developing countries have been very interested, and some developing countries too, in our studies and our activities in the area of limitations and exceptions. And we are looking right now at a study that we're conducting on limitations and exceptions applicable to libraries. We've done one with respect to the blind, and we continue to expand those. We hope to come up through this with some good ideas about the ways that various limitations and exceptions have been implemented in copyright laws around the world to help guide our members in the way these things can be properly implemented, respecting the rights of copyright owners while providing the services that some may need. We'll also be taking up the future work of the committee and trying to decide what other topics we might want to look at. I realize that for those of you from the U.S., that's the week of Thanksgiving, but at least we've scheduled it through Wednesday so that you can get on the plane Thursday morning and be back here in time to run to the dinner table. I know I've done that more than once myself, and it works. And besides, you get out of helping to baste the turkey and prepare all the stuff, so you just get to participate in the eating. But I want to sincerely thank all the panelists and moderators who, despite their heavy calendars, have accepted our invitation to come here and share with us their knowledge and vast experience and stay with us here in this important city of music. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Michael. I'm Eric Baptiste, the Director General of SESAC, the International Federation of Copyright Societies, so it's CISAC, not SESAC with an S, the PRO based here in Nashville, one of our 219 worldwide members. This is not an awards show, so I will not repeat all the things that Michael just said about the people that have made this conference possible, but I would like to share with all the people that Michael mentioned SESAC's appreciations for having worked very hard to make this important event possible. Especially, of course, Patrick Mazouillet at WIPO has been working tirelessly for months with his team to make this a success, and let's hope that it's a success that we expect it will be. SESAC is very thrilled to be associated with this event. We group organizations in 115 countries around the world in all kinds of creative repertoires, not only music. We have members that manage audiovisual rights, literary rights, visual rights. Music, of course, is the most important part of the quality management business, and 90% of the royalties that are collected by our members around the world are related to musical works, performing rights or mechanical rights. We calculated yesterday, just for you, we estimated the 2006 collections from the SESAC members, and we think it's going to be in the vicinity of $9.3 billion US dollars for 2006. A fairly significant amount. It has been on the increase steadily in recent years, despite all the problems, despite all the crises, despite all the challenges coming from new technologies, or what we used to call new technologies. This reflects, I believe, the kind of energy that PROs and all the SESAC members are putting into protecting intellectual property, into making sure that each use of any creative work is authorized, licensed, and accounted for. And it also shows that despite everything that people hear about the crisis in the music industry, it's the recorded music industry that is in trouble. A very important part of the music industry, but only this one. And so far, the other uses of music have been able to compensate somewhat the decline in the sale of physical sound carriers. We are very happy also to be here because of our association with WIPO. SESAC and WIPO have been working together since WIPO was born, in fact. WIPO is much younger than SESAC. SESAC was born in 1926. Our cooperation with WIPO has always been very, very important to us, but even more so since 2002, I believe, when we signed a framework agreement, a cooperation memorandum of understanding, if you want, that enables us to coordinate our activities in the various regions, the various continents. We pool our resources together to do more with the same amount of dollars or euros or francs Swiss francs. And we try to fight together for intellectual property. SESAC is very appreciative of WIPO's efforts. We are fully supporting what the WIPO International Bureau and the WIPO Director General is doing. We want to stress that we don't agree with the states that have questioned recently the importance of intellectual property as regards development. We believe that intellectual property protection is not a hindrance to economic development. On the contrary, intellectual property is one of the basic elements you need to have in place in a given country to enable it to fulfill its potential, and that's true all around the world. Let's hope that this event is as exciting as it appears to be when we look at the program. I would like to thank all the panelists that have decided to come to speak today and tomorrow and on Friday morning. You'll have people from all around the world, and we are delighted that they were able to come to Music City, USA, to Nashville to share their insights with you. Don't hesitate to ask questions. We think that the most successful conferences are the ones where people from the audience ask questions and that where panelists don't talk to each other only. Thanks again to everybody at WIPO, Vanderbilt University, ASCAP, BMI, and SESAC for being very helpful. And let's have a very good 3 days together. Thank you again.
Well, welcome to all of you. As I said last night, this is a very exciting conference for me personally, and I obviously will have many people to thank, including all of those that you've heard before, so I won't repeat that. I'll just say, me too. But I will just single out my program assistant, Ms. Faye Johnson, and I'll say more about her in a moment when I give you some of the housekeeping rules. She's over there in the corner, and she's really been instrumental. If anything goes well or seamlessly or right in this conference, it's Faye and the staff here, Robert Deutsch and Kelly McQuiston, who have done such a terrific job. So I'm really indebted to them, and just will say that a note of special thanks. The only other thing I'll say is that when I came to Vanderbilt a little over 3 years ago, I thought, well, I've always taught copyright law, international copyright. I write in the area of international IP. And I thought, well, Nashville, Music City, must be a copyright town. The law school must have all sorts of connections with Music Row and lots of things. And surprisingly, there were some, but not as much as I thought there ought to be. And so I thought, well, okay, let me find out where Music Row is. Well, it's just 5 blocks from here. So that should be easy to build bridges. Well, sometimes the best way to cross town is to cross the ocean. And in this case, cross the ocean to Geneva, because I had already had some relationships with the WIPO. And of course, WIPO has many relationships with the U.S. Music rights organizations. And so we were able to put together kind of a triangular partnership, if you will, and bring this conference here with the idea of bringing all of you here, some of whom will have walked and others who will have come from across the world. And so I'm really delighted. This is kind of what I had been hoping would happen here at Vanderbilt. And so I'll simply say that this is kind of the bringing together of many parts of what I had hoped for the university, for Nashville, and for the intellectual property industries in general. And I'm sure we'll hear more. And so, again, welcome.
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for those with jet lag. It's not easy to speak last because usually all previous speakers have already mentioned everything, all the main points, including substantive issues and thanks and tributes to each other. So I just want to look at the program very briefly and give you some sort of background information related to the holding of the conference and put it in the context of WIPO's activities. For several years, WIPO's experience led us to notice that several topics and similar problems confront collective management of copyright and related rights throughout the world. And this includes good governance, monopoly and competition rules, government control and regulation, cross-border online licensing, application of digital rights management, reciprocal representation agreements among collective management organizations, identification of works, digital distribution of digital contents, consumers' attitudes. They all want everything free. They forget that we have to compensate and remunerate the work of the creators. Best practices for royalty distribution, dispute resolution mechanisms, new online and mobile services, and also cultural diversity. The list could be extended, but I've been requested to be short, so I stop there, and you will hear much more with the moderators and speakers today and tomorrow. But for many of those items, there may be a need for some international regulation. However, views are divergent on this point. Copyright officials and managers of author societies tend to encourage rapid resolution of problematic issues in order to make sure that the balance of interest of the right owners are adequately maintained and respected with due consideration of international standards, rules, and conventions. So WIPO is, and I have tried to keep certain modesty in saying that, but I think it's the appropriate and only organization to provide the adequate platform for exchanging views on the challenges that collective management of copyright is facing at the international level. After the conference, WIPO intends to make a publication of a compendium, and this compendium will be yours. It will be made of short paper written by each moderator and speaker, and it will constitute certainly a very solid and informative background material. And since the conference in Sevilla in 1997, mentioned by Mr. Keplinger, there is no big publication on that issue. There have been a lot of books written. Mr. Fischer has written one, Professor Daniel Gervais also, and I probably forgot to name others of you who have written things. But this background material is important for us. And may I take this opportunity to ask the moderator and the speaker who haven't sent to me their 5-6 page document to do it as soon as possible. This being said, just allow me to thank again Professor Larry Helfer and Ms. Faith Johnson. We have exchanged more than 600 emails. Our email box, yes, in order to make this conference possible. And I'd like to thank, of course, Nathalie Denmark, my assistant, who's been working very hard, especially dealing also with some financial aspect. I don't want to take more time. I just want to conclude and to say thank you to all of you to come here. And I will give the floor to Professor Helfer, who is going to give you some information on practical aspect. Thank you very much.
So just a few points for the next 2 days. We're about 15 minutes behind, but that's fine. We built in some extra time into lunch. I learned from the conference master, Hugh Hansen, how to at least try to run a conference with multiple moving parts. So in your schedules will probably be about 15 minutes off or so. Please do keep your badges both for today and tomorrow. They are your ticket, so to speak, for lunches on both days. So if you when you go back to the hotel, bring them back with you in the morning. There will be coffee and water and so forth during the coffee breaks. You're free to bring those in here if you like, and keep them with you during the presentations. If you do have any questions or that come up in terms of logistics or questions about Nashville, there are a number of the law students around at the registration tables who can provide you with more information, as of course can Faye Johnson. Just wave, Faye, so we all know who you are after hearing about you. She's over here. One other word about the dinner this evening, which will be at BMI headquarters. You hopefully have picked up a map or two on your way in. And that will be beginning with cocktails at 7 p.m. this evening, and the dinner will be at 8 p.m. And it's a short cab ride away, or about a 10 to 15 minute walk away, depending on which hotel you're coming from, maybe even a bit less than that. So those are the basic things. I just have a few requests for the speakers, the panelists, and the moderators. I do, as was mentioned earlier, want to make sure we have a chance for interaction among the panelists and also with all of you, many of whom have come so far. So I would ask that the moderators and panelists keep strict time, and so I've made very large cards, so there's no shirking, and the colors get even more, alarming until you have time's up. So those will be here, and I will expect you to use them. Because they're there for a very good reason, which is so that we can actually have a dialogue and debate among all of you, many of whom could be just as well be up here as those who will be up here. If you do have PowerPoint presentations or other things, we can accommodate that. Please see Faye about that, and we'll make sure those are taken up as well. With respect to audience participation, we have 2 mics on either side. We will have students will come around to you once the moderators recognize you for an intervention or a comment. Please do identify yourself by your name and your institutional affiliation, so we can have that for the record, and also everyone can know your particular who you are when you're speaking. And finally, lastly, we are audio taping and videotaping this in terms of the panelist presentations, and so we'll have a couple of release forms so that we will be able to perhaps stream this conference over the web, not today, but later. So hopefully that the students will bring those around, and you will be able to sign them. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to talk to me as well about that. Last thing with respect to the moderators, again, just to keep time, you all have received bios of all of the participants, so I just ask the moderators not to do a background or introduction to the speakers. All the information about the speakers you have before you, and we'll turn right to the merits of the discussion, and we will do that now with the first panel on the application of international treaties in relation to collective rights management.